real question is whether the brighter future is always so distant. What if it has been here for a long time already, and only our own blindness and weakness have prevented us from seeing it around us and within us, and kept us from developing it? This is the news for use.
Hello and welcome to the News for Use.
You thought you'd gotten rid of us, didn't you? But you were wrong, old bean, 'cause we're back.
Bringing you the news and non-news news networks refuse to use. I'm your host, Wayne Darnell. The headlines. NASA have released the first images from the James Webb Observatory. The Deep Space Radio Telescope is capable of producing the sharpest images yet of distant galaxies and stars, some 13 billion light years away. If you live in one of these galaxies, or you're getting your news from the BBC or any other mainstream news network, then you're probably completely unaware of the farmers' protests taking place in Holland right now.
What exactly is this about, and what do you think that it means?
Well, very simple, Tucker. What this is about is the Dutch government stealing our farmers' land. And they're doing this under the guise of a made-up nitrogen crisis. And that is basically going to put most of these farmers completely out of business. And thankfully, the Dutch farmers aren't having it.
NASA aren't the only ones releasing pictures, as images have also been released from Hunter Biden's laptop and mobile phone. According to government fact-checkers, these pictures and recordings are just Russian misinformation.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You sick fuck!
Man can't tell me nothing about this cold.
You sicko fucko asshole!
These are my hustling niggas.
You sick fuck!
Hunter's father, crash test president, sleepy creepy Joe Biden, or pedo Peter, as his son affectionately refers to him, allegedly, was unable to shed any light on the matter.
What do you think about Hunter, your son? There's a video of him arguing with a hooker about how much crack he has. What do you think about that, Mr. President?
Okay? Because make no mistake about it.
In the UK, having dismissed Boris Johnson, the current dictator of Great Britain, Bill Gates is on the lookout for another puppet leader to take the reins. Fortunately, Klausschwab, head of the World Economic Forum, has helpfully narrowed the list down to the two following candidates. So far, Bill, close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein and regular visitor to his pedo island, hasn't decided for sure who the next dictator of the UK will be. In the Ukraine, US and UK weapons are now available on the black market from Ukrainian arms dealers. Terrorists from around the world can now purchase enough firepower to shoot down civilian aircraft for a mere $20,000 US cash. And in Canada, this.
Good morning, Justin. I sure hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're hiding your cowardly ass. You know, I wanted to take a minute to discuss your good friend Klaus Schwab, the WEF, your intentions for this great reset, and how you're continually pushing things through. You don't give a shit about us folks, Justin. You've got your own agenda. You're running around at Klaus's feet like a little fucking dog waiting for an attaboy cookie. Screwing Canada and everybody that fucking lives here while you're doing it. So guess what, boys? I see a great reset coming. I see millions of people across this world getting really pissed off with the likes of you fuckers. And we're gonna stand up and tell you all to go fuck yourself. People, we have the power. These boys can mandate all they want, tell us to do whatever they want. We can tell them to fuck right off too. And it's about time that we all started doing that. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to push on anybody's fence. I don't want to bother anybody. I want to live out my life looking after all these crippled horses. But I'm sick and fucking tired of standing back watching this shit happen. So let's get together, people. Let's all stand up. I don't give a shit who you support or what ethnic group you're from. Let's stand up together as people of this world and say we've had enough of being told what to do by the few. I love each and every one of you, and I hope that your life is full of adventure, love, and happiness. But we got to set things aside for a few minutes and straighten these fuckers out. Then we can get on with our lives. God bless each and every one of you.
In Australia news, a massive 500-bed quarantine facility is nearing completion in Borsbrook, North Perth. The facility bears a striking resemblance to quarantine facilities across China.
China?
Used to quarantine people who do not do what the government want them to. In fact, in China, even wanting to withdraw your own money from the bank could get you sent to quarantine at one of these camps. Quarantine camps can also be found in Queensland, Australia, as well as Canada and the US. Join us after the break. Welcome back. Yet again, the BBC is failing to adhere to its mandate to inform the British public as Dutch farmers' protests go unreported. Fortunately, that's what the News for Yous is here to do, inform. So what's going on in the Netherlands? Here's a Dutchman to explain.
How is it possible that in an age where everybody's talking about possibility of food shortages, of insecure supply chains, the Dutch government is pursuing this policy which will lead to even more dependency on international supply chains and thus uncertainty for the Dutch consumers? The answer is that the people governing this country are following the script written by the EU to realize what they call a great reset. They want to make us more dependent on international supply chains. They want to weaken Dutch sovereignty and autonomy. And also, they want to continue mass immigration into the Netherlands. And if you are going to bring more people to the Netherlands in a very small and densely populated country, you're going to need to take the land from the farmers and put houses there.
And if you don't believe him, see for yourself.
Somewhere else that seems to be sliding into dictatorship is Holland, which may not entirely be a coincidence. The similarities between Canada and Holland are as startling as they are disturbing. Here's Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, leader of the laughably and ironically named People's Party for Freedom and Democracy. Apart from obviously sharing the same wacky lefty sense of humour, those two both are, of course, golden pin-up boys for Klaus Schwab and the globalist fantasists of the World Economic Forum. Currently, the Dutch government is embarked upon insane efforts to slash greenhouse gases and reduce the amount of nitrogen ammonia in the soil by 30 to 70% by 2030, or even by up to 95% in some places, in order to meet green EU climate change targets that Holland has signed up to. And this means literally turfing people off their farms. I guess that's one way to transform land use and food systems, eh, Rutte? This, by the way, is what happens when your national government gets penetrated by globalist activists from the World Economic Forum. Oh, does that sound like a conspiracy theory? Yes, it does. But alas, it's not me saying it. It's dear old Klaus Schwab back in 2017 fessing up to what the World Economic Forum is really up to.
I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on. They all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Enough is enough. We're going Dutch.
As the protests gain momentum, the farmers are going Dutch, with growers from across Europe. Farmers from Germany, Italy, Spain and Poland find their Dutch courage and join the protest. In the UK, earlier this month, an emergency meeting of COBRA was convened.
OMG!
COBRA, or the Civil Contingencies Committee, is convened to handle matters of national emergency or major disruptions. Its purpose? To coordinate different departments and agencies in response to such emergencies.
Reasons to be fearful. Part 3.
And what was the national emergency? Did COBRA meet to discuss Injuries? Did they meet to discuss the cost of living crisis? Maybe they met to discuss the looming food shortages. Or could it have been the rise in suicide in children? Or even maybe the unexplained epidemic of myocarditis, which is definitely nothing to do with the jab. Fact checked by Pfizer approved fact checkers. Did Cobra meet to discuss the thousands of undocumented illegal immigrants crossing the English Channel every day? Maybe they met to discuss the rape and abuse of thousands of white working class girls across the country by Muslim grooming gangs. No, Cobra was convened to discuss 3 days of warm weather. Should everyone apply sunscreen to protect others from getting burnt?
Hello from Sahara Desert. You are watching News for Use.
Puppet President Biden's Assistant Secretary for Health, faux sailor, and Head of Child Grooming, Avril Lavigne, wants to empower kids to go on puberty blockers and get sex reassignment surgery.
So we really want to base our treatment and to affirm and to support and empower these youth, not to limit their participation in activities and sports, and even limit their ability to get gender affirmation treatment in their state.
In other words, to sterilize children, cut off the breasts of 13-year-old girls, reduce their bone density, causing osteoporosis, send teenage girls into early menopause, remove young boys' penises, destroy children's future sexual function, and disfigure them for life. Why? Because 8-year-olds can sometimes be confused. When I was 8, I wanted to be a Native American Indian. Thank God my mother ignored me, or I could be accused of cultural appropriation in today's current climate. And speaking of mental health issues and climate, particularly warm weather is now causing hysteria across the UK as temperatures reach up to 40 degrees for a couple of days, leading to climate change zealots and stupid people to confuse arson with spontaneous combustion. Top scientist Professor Harry Windsor flew into the United Nations on a private jet to give his considered opinion.
How many of us feel battered, helpless, in the face of the seemingly endless stream of disasters and devastation? I understand. This has been a painful year in a painful decade. We're living through a pandemic that continues to ravage communities in every corner of the globe. Climate change wreaking havoc on our planet, with the most vulnerable suffering most of all.
And now, the weather where you are.
Man, hey, this is your News for Use weather report. It's a little hot right now, but don't worry. You won't spontaneously combust. And keep smiling, man. Live free and don't live in fear. And now, back to my main man with a tan, Wayne Darnell.
Thank you for watching the News for Yous. Please like and subscribe and join us next time. Goodbye.
The show is over. Thank you.
Wake up.